Hey, this is Ronnie LeBlanc from Expedition Bigfoot, and you're listening to the Paranormally Zone.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does happen.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
So, Mike, I'm going to get right to a question for you
Okay.
that actually pertains to the topic for this
Okay.
evening.
I will hope to come up with an answer for you.
Oh, you will. I'm just putting you on the spot. It has nothing.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with smarts or history or anything like
Well,
that.
thank God for that.
No, it comes from the heart.
Okay.
One of those type of answers. And like I said, it directly relates to this topic. Mike, if you, Michael Carbonaut, I'm calling you Carbonauts because it's eerily similar to Chrononaut, which, of course, as
Yeah.
everyone knows, is the term for someone who travels through time. Now,
and everyone knows this?
sure.
Okay.
Now, if Mike Carbonauts was able to travel through time at the hands of another person / secret organization,
Mm-hmm.
and you were sent back to Ford's Theater in 1865, would you, Mike Carbonauts, do what you could to prevent Lincoln's assassination? Go.
Wow. Well,
And
morally,
if so, why?
morally, I would have to say yes.
Okay.
I mean, I could not watch Abraham Lincoln being shot, knowing that he's going to be shot. I would be up there and I would recognize John Wilkes Booth as he came, and I would tell Lincoln as I'm jumping out of the seating area onto the stage, breaking my leg. I would tell Lincoln, look out behind you.
Now that'd be funny too, because didn't John Wilkes Booth break his leg jumping from
Absolutely.
from
Well,
said
that's why
booth?
I brought all that up. Yes.
So yeah, that's kind of coincidental. His last name's Booth. He jumps out of the booth, busts his
Yeah.
leg. So you'd be sitting there, you'd be just chomping at the bit, and you'd be like, I really shouldn't screw up history as we know it.
Well-
It's that space-time continuum, as Doc Brown always talks about.
Yes, but I have also read that that is not true. That if something was done to change history from that point to today, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, would work it out to where, and twist it around and switch it around to where the same stuff will happen now. The outcome will be the same for present time.
Really?
And I can't think of, it was a physicist, I think, that I can't remember.
Was it Neil deGrasse Tyson?
No.
And I say that kind of flippantly, but lovingly, maybe.
But also, I got to tell you real quick.
Yes, please do.
There was a great episode of The Twilight Zone that I'm sure many of our listeners have seen, where, well, not to go into the whole story, but Russell Johnson, who played the professor on Gilligan's Island.
Oh, yes.
He
Handsome fellow.
went back in time to Ford's Theater, and well, he didn't starting Ford's theory, but he, after realizing, what had happened and where he's at and when he's at, he tried everything that he could to save Lincoln. I mean, went to the police, went to, everything, whatever, trying to do that. And it was like he was just a crazy man,
Well, of course, that's how everyone would have perceived him.
Yeah. But there was a doctor that was in the police station or came into the police station. I don't know if he followed him or what, but the doctor came in and said, I will take care of this man, release him into my custody. I'll sedate him and he can rest and whatever. Well, it turns out that this guy this doctor that brought him back to his room and sedated him, yes, drugged him, and he passed out. And it was actually after he drugged Russell Johnson, this other guy went to Ford's Theater and shot Abe Lincoln because he was John Wilkes Booth.
Oh my goodness gracious. Now that's a Twilight Zone episode to remember right there. That's
great episode.
I love ideas like that. It's creepy but fascinating, obviously.
Yeah.
So you kind of are a believer in fate almost then. If you think that no matter what you had the opportunity to change in the past, everything would work itself out anyways. It would somehow kind of meld into the same timeline somehow, some way. Is that what you are saying?
Well, that's what I had read from. I wish I could remember who it was, but I'm not saying that I necessarily.
Okay, I gotcha. His name's probably Bob Physicist. We'll call him that.
Yeah.
To give proper credence.
Well, I think his name is Joe Science, actually.
Yeah, Joe Science, Bob Physicist.
Yeah,
I like those guys. Now, like I said, the reason I brought that up because that relates directly to the topic at hand, and this is a crazy one, by the way, Mike. In case you are new to the program, welcome, new listeners, one and all. Yeah, believe it or not, we do get new listeners from time to time. But this is the Paranormally Zone, your weekly dose of all things. Hey, you guessed it, paranormal, strange, and mysterious. My name is Patrick Koffenberg, and joining me, as always, you already heard his dulcet voice just booming through the airwaves. My co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself. I mentioned it already, the chrononaut in training, Mike Carbonaut. Now, would it be Carbonaut?
Carbno. You could even call it Carbnaut.
The thing is because listeners are probably wondering, jeepers, Koffenberg, you know it's Carbno. Why would you say Carbonaut? For some reason, I pronounce your name Carbono. So every now and then it slips out.
Well, it makes more sense to have a letter in there.
Does it? Does
Carbno? Does that sound right? Carbno. It just it's more natural to say Carbono.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just ashamed of myself. But as you suggested, Mike Carbnaut. We're gonna go with that. Chrononaut in training, wannabe chrononaut, wannabe time traveler, Mr. Mike Carbno. It is good to see you. This is a return to our Terminal series. If you have lasted this long, by the way, thank you very much for sticking around. Terminal is where we throw out these wacky, weird, wild topics, and at the end of the show, after discussion and debate, back and forth banter, we throw out our final yay or nay, no shades of gray, whether or not we buy this baloney we're talking about or not. You'd be surprised at some of the results. I'm interested in what Mike is going to say at the end of this one. Heck, I'm interested in what I'm going to say. I really do not know. We are talking about Project Pegasus and time travel. Now, time travel is related directly to Project Pegasus. It is a supposed secret governmental organization / project. I believe it took part back in the 1970s.
Yes.
We are going to relate the story, the claims of one Andrew Basiago. He is a Seattle attorney, and boy, oh boy, does he have a crazy story for all of us.
In the early 80s, he seemed to have had a lot of fun.
He sure did in the early 80s, and when he was a young man. He
was supposed to have done this.
Yes, yeah, well, this is where the story starts getting kind of weird, wild, and wacky. But secret government organization that focuses on and utilizes time travel procedures, time travel technology, and supposedly
teleportation.
And teleportation. Thank you very much. And we are in the dark about this thing that has supposedly been running for decades. And we are going to listen to Mr. Andrew Basiago. Well, we're going to read stuff that he had to say about this crazy, wacky stuff. I texted you an article about this the other day, and Mike, you wrote back, you said, wow, we definitely have to talk about this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely a good topic.
Yeah, here we are. So without any further ado, should we dive into it, Mike?
Yes.
Or do you want
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Come on, man. Let's do it. I don't have any sound bites going right now, so our listeners are probably going, thank God. Don't have to listen to that. But I am going to find that text I sent you, though. Yeah, and the article included some funky photos. One that was taken at or during, I should say, the Gettysburg Address. Mm-hmm. And there's a young man in the center of said photo that is supposedly this Andrew Basiago. I struggle with his last name for some reason. I have to pause every time I say it. Andrew Basiago.
Depends what kind of accent you want to put on it, I guess.
Right.
Basiago.
Yeah, if you're from Chicago, it's Basiaga. It's Andrew Basiaga. So what would it be for this Minnesotan here? It'd be Andrew Basiago. You got to do the old Basiago. There you go. Yeah, Basiago. Anyways, his name's Andrew. And he supposedly was a chrononaut.
Affectionately known as Andy.
Yes, Andy the chrononaut.
At church, he is known as Andrew.
I wonder if
I don't know why.
I wonder if his mother asks him how's it going? How's it? What's it like being the chrononaut, Andy? Now, we're not giving away any hints as to what our answer is going to be by any means.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
Do we each know what our answer is yet?
I'm kind of leaning towards it, but you know what? We've changed our minds in mid-discussion before.
That's right. The episode could make the difference.
Now, Mike, I did suggest / ask you before we recorded, about an hour or so ago, a couple hours ago. I was like, try and think of, because I was doing the same thing. I was like, try and think of paranormal experiences that are related to or maybe / caused by time travel. Now, of course, we are assuming that time travel is real, that time travel is legit, time travel exists. So I was like, man, what type of paranormal experiences could be explained away by this, this tiny other phenomenon known as time travel? What popped into your brain? I wrote a couple things down. Maybe we wrote the same stuff.
Yeah, well, we might have. But isn't time travel, by definition, paranormal in itself?
Oh, hell yeah. I would say so. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The first thing that popped in my brain was obviously time slips.
Right.
Would you not agree with that? I mean,
I agree.
That's a weird, wacky, wild, alleged phenomena.
Awesome, yeah.
Again, we keep tooting our own horns, but it was such an awesome experience being guests on Talk is Jericho. But Jericho himself has talked about his own time slip / missing time experience that he went through. So it's not just for the wee little people who are interested in the paranormal. You fly up the ranks of celebrity, and guaranteed you're going to find people who believe in this stuff as well. So
that's very true.
Perhaps, I don't know. Now, I guess there would be a difference between a time slip and missing time. So correct my memory, Mike. Was Jericho talking about missing time, or was he talking about a time slip? Now I'm questioning what I said. Now I'm thinking it was missing time. They're both weird, wild, wacky. Plus, another one I wrote down possibly ghosts. If you believe that ghosts are like interdimensional travelers themselves, maybe that's sort of related to time travel.
Right. Now, okay, so say you see a ghost from the 1800s, is that a time traveling ghost? But who is to say that are they also able to travel into the past?
Well,
how can we find that out? How can we figure that out? We can't really.
well, you and I sure as hell can't.
Yeah.
That's for sure. What is it again, Mike? I know that if you get like 10 physicists together in a room, half of them are going to say time travel is theoretically possible, and the other half
Right.
are going to say no. So, I mean, little schlubs like you and I, hell, we can say whatever we want.
Sure.
If it's respectful, of course.
And we have to even think too. I mean, if you want to get really deep about it, is there even such a thing as time?
Oh, God.
Okay, now this is a quote. Einstein said, "For those of us who believe in physics, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion."
Yeah. What does Einstein know?
I love that.
What did he know? My gosh.
Not a dang thing.
No, that guy had the world's best mustache, and that was about it.
He had a coif of hair that wouldn't quit.
I'm kidding, by the way. Oh my gosh. So the last.
Could you imagine watching him eat soup or something? That would be nasty.
That could be an educational experience. You never know.
Yeah.
Or he could have been just the most slovenly, sloppy person ever.
Yeah. I'd be standing next to him while he's eating with a roll of paper towels. Right. I really would.
Maybe a sponge. Just soak up some of the
dabbing cloth.
Albert
a
Einstein.
Napkin or a tissue.
A tissue. Hey, Al, do you mind if I shove the sponge on your face? Anyways, the last one I wrote down, Mike, was deja vu.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that one.
Deja vu, we've all experienced it. I have experienced it so strongly at times that it actually kind of freaks me out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Maybe perhaps an explanation is, well, we've done all this before because we have traveled through time somehow, some way. I don't know. None of us know, but it's kind of fun to think about. Did you have anything separate from those three that I just kind of farted out there?
I did not.
Oh, well, what good are you? God dang it.
Well, no matter how hard I try, no, that's it.
Well, let's get into this, Mike. I found this article from cultofweird.com, and yeah, this is pretty darn weird for sure. Time travel and Project Pegasus. Now, the aforementioned Andrew Basiago is at the center of this story because he claims back in and I'm looking at my professional notes right now, you can hear them. Back in the 1970s, between the ages of 7 and 12, Andy Basiago claims that he was a participant in the secret governmental organization known as DARPA.
Yeah, along with many other teenagers.
Yes, there's several.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hundreds. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Andrew Basiago claims to have participated amongst several, as Mike mentioned, including time-traveling experiences which sent him to not only the aforementioned Ford's Theater, but also the aforementioned Gettysburg Address as well. Andrew claims that this is based off of technology developed from the work of some other schlub named Nikola Tesla.
Yeah. That's the FBI went in supposedly and took all of his papers after he died.
Yeah.
Well, so then they're talking about this Pegasus has been like patterned or built off of his notes.
Yeah.
Which, I can see that because Tesla was a threat to a lot of big names as far as like the free energy thing, he
was going to save a lot of money and people didn't want that, that to happen. They wanted that money.
Yep. The powers that be and government and all that, if you believe in that kind of thing, conspiratorial, but and it said that he died of heart failure, but
Yeah.
that's questionable as well.
Very questionable. Now, on a side note, kind of, do you pronounce it Nikolai Tesla?
I
Because I
it's-
said
it's
Nikola. Nikola
it's
did not sound right.
Nikola Tesla.
Nicola.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that I said Nikola is because there is a very prominent NBA basketball superstar whose first name is spelled exactly like that and it's pronounced Nikola. So I think I got him confused. Now, Mike, talk about causing blank stares. Whenever I bring up sports to Mike, he shuts off.
Yeah, You see my head just, start tilting back, and
Yeah.
my eyes rolling.
Yep. And he says,
My mouth opening up a little bit, my tongue hanging out.
he says, Mary, tell me when he's done. Tell me when he's done. Now, again, Andrew Basiago is a Seattle attorney, as we mentioned, and he's been making these claims as far back as 2004. That's going on 20 years. And this guy actually claims that he may or may not be the future president of the United States, but that's another thing that we'll get to shortly, because he has actually, may or may not have known this, he ran for president. Maybe he got a vote. I don't know. You're allowed to vote for yourself, so he probably got at least one.
Yeah, probably.
Now, again, as I mentioned, he claims that between the ages of 7 and 12, he participated in DARPA, which was a precursor to the Montauk Project and the Philadelphia experiment.
But the precursor thing.
Yeah, why does
your
that
definition of precursor? Is
before?
that like
It happened before.
But if this happened in the early 70s,
Right.
the Montauk has been around longer than that. I know that the Philadelphia experiment was supposedly during World War II.
Right.
So what happened there?
Well, it makes you kind of wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah. Was it a misuse of a word or
were there several?
or could it be a schlub up?
Well, it could very well be a schlub up. Was there another Philadelphia experiment that we aren't aware of?
Oh,
I don't know.
there could possibly be.
It was an experiment. It was an experiment ran and created by Philadelphia Philly Mike Schmidt and Kent Tucolvy, right, Mike? Now, our 1970s, 1980s baseball fans out there, they might recognize those names. It was an awful attempt at a joke. So I apologize for that.
Huh.
And I'm pretty sure Kent Tucolvy was a Philly at one point. I know he was a Pirate, so don't correct me, please.
Okay.
Mike's going, why am I here tonight? Why am I here?
Hey, I have reasons.
But this is a terminal episode. Terminal episodes are, if you think that we're lousy on the regular ones, these are even better in that matter. If you know what I mean. It's like, if worse equals better, then you got what you came for here in our terminal ones, because we don't give a crap.
Well,
No, really?
we do, but
I feel like I'm spinning on a top. I'm like out of control right now. I don't know what's happening to my brain.
well, and actually, it proves and begs the question of our research skills.
Well, we have none sometimes. So that's what makes it great. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, well, I'm sure people do, have reasons to believe 10% of what I say. Believe it or not, our most downloaded episode by the thousands is a terminal episode. I have no idea.
That's right.
A little behind the scenes news here. That Valiant Thor episode we did months ago it's blowing up, and I don't know why. I'm not complaining. But it's kind of neat. So, and the other terminal episodes are pretty darn popular for us. So that's kind of neat. So here we are again. Now, Andrew Basiago claims that this DARPA organization used children in its experiments because they could adapt well, quote, to the strains of moving between past, present, and future. Now, one wonders why a child would find it easier to adapt to said strains as opposed to an adult.
They're more malleable.
Yeah, more bendable. Form them a little bit more. You can bend them
Yeah.
this way and that. Okay.
And they snap back quick.
They do. They're more flexible for sure. Maybe that's what he meant. Maybe if if Mike became a chrononaut, he would literally break in half.
Oh, jeez. I would be a pile of dust. A lot smaller than what. It'd be a smaller pile than what my mass would create.
Oh my goodness gracious, that's
It's
frightening.
Horrible. Did we ever say what the what DARPA stood for?
I did. I did. Thank you for listening.
I do what I can.
Now, claiming to be one of these time traveling children, Basiago claims to have traveled to, as we said before, Ford's Theater on the night of President Abraham Lincoln's assassination. And he claims to have gone there 5 or 6 times. And also, as I mentioned earlier, said he traveled to the spot where Lincoln so eloquently performed his Gettysburg Address and supposedly was the little child in the center of one of these photos. You can find them all along the web. Type in Gettysburg Address time travel and it'll pop up, I'm sure. Andrew Basiago says he experienced 8 different time travel technologies throughout the course of this project, but most instances involved a teleporter, which, as I guess we mentioned earlier, was based on technical papers supposedly found in pioneering mechanical engineer Tesla. I was about ready to butcher his first name again. I can't say anything today, Mike. I really can't. I've called you Carbono. I say Nicola.
Nicola.
Maybe my name is Putrik. It's Putrik Guffenberg. Look at him over there.
Putstrick.
Hey, you know what? Froderick Frankenstein works, so why not Putrik Guffenberg?
Froderick.
Oh, man alive.
Hey, okay, so were you finished with what you were doing there?
I am.
Okay. Because there's something that, I don't know if you had found this in your research or.
I'm sure I didn't.
Well, did you read about who the famous time traveler was with him?
Just like how that sounded. Did you read where the who?
Did you read who was the partner of this guy when he was a young child, and he actually traveled with a fairly famous man as a child?
Shit, no, I am not familiar. Please educate me and our listeners.
Yes. And the famous man who was a child at the time was none other than a man who went by the name Barry Sotoro.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And he's famous?
Yes. He was one of the presidents of our great country.
What?
President Obama.
Oh my goodness gracious. You know what? That rang a bell now because I was looking at this the other day because this Basiago guy was claiming that some of these presidents,
yes,
Obama included, were at one point children who also participated in these events. I do remember that now, Mike. I think he also said Hillary Clinton was involved somehow. I don't remember, but
yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Huh.
Who knows who?
What did you say his name was? Barry what?
Barry Sotero.
Barry Sotero. Huh.
Yeah. Spelled Soetoro.
As crazy and weird and wild and wacky as so many things are, I just find it so... Personally, I find it difficult to buy into all of this, just secretive presidential knowledge that they are exposed to, that they know of, but they're just sworn to secrecy, like how Obama and Clinton and Hillary and even Trump and Biden now, and how everyone throughout the years all know that aliens have visited Earth and have all interacted with alien intelligence, but they just don't say a damn thing because they are sworn to secrecy. That's just so hard for me to swallow. Not saying it's not true, But
I think they're more on a need to know basis.
yeah, that's very true. That's a possibility for sure. Now, this particular teleporter that Andrew Basiago is referencing, he says it consisted of 2 gray elliptical booms about 8 feet tall. I am reading, by the way, if you couldn't tell. These booms were separated by about 10 feet, between which a shimmering curtain of what Tesla called radiant energy was broadcast. Radiant energy is a form of energy that Tesla discovered that is both latent and pervasive in the universe and has among its properties the capacity to bend time and space. Now, if, it's probably important to, I'm sure our listeners are smart enough, they know what the definitions are. But latent, of course, is like dormant. And, like if you unfortunately have if you have a latent cancer, as opposed to like a pervasive cancer, or any number of.
I know it's kind of waiting to become pervasive.
No, you're not talking personally, are you now, Mike? You're just joking with your St. Olaf shirt on and your scully. Yeah, Mike and I were talking about Betty White earlier because he's wearing a St. Olaf shirt.
Yes.
And he educated me on the Golden Girls back history. Basiago claims that each of his visits to the past were different. This is a quote. He says, like they were sending us to slightly different alternative realities on adjacent timelines. As these visits began to accumulate, Basiago claims to have began to run into himself during different visits. Now, that's what starts getting pretty crazy, too.
Right.
We all know, we're all familiar with like the Back to the Future Part 2 scene where Marty comes across the old Marty back in 1950s playing away, at the dance, at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, and he's watching himself in another timeline. It's weird, and I love saying weird, wild, and wacky. That's what we are all about here in Paranormal Zone. So is that what Andrew Basiago is claiming as well? I think if I'm remembering correctly, he actually went to the very same timeline, the very same exact locale, different occasions, but to the point where there are actually multiple hymns in the Ford's Theater looking at Lincoln. Not like another Andrew Basiago, another timeline looking down on Andrew Basiago. No, they were both there looking up at Mr. Lincoln going, no.
And it was like every time they were sent back, it was like they were sent back to just a little bit different timeline, a little bit different dimension, or
I did write down something on here too, Mike, because when I was reading these, and believe it or not, I was writing down some notes. I'm trying to find it now. Oh, I wrote down, right here. I said, why send people to these particular events to just observe? Because from what I've read, I mean, obviously they're there. They're not there to change history by any means, as far as we know. But this Andrew Basiago, he went back to these historical events just to sit there and watch. So what are we doing by that? How are we bettering the earth by going back and looking at these events?
We're not. I think.
Thank you.
These people that were sent, they are only told so much and only know so much. They don't know how or whatever. They don't know everything. They can't. I'm sure that the government and all this work that they're doing, they have much further, deeper reasons for this, that they aren't going to let that information out.
Didn't this Basiago, didn't he say that he was, and I'm paraphrasing, when he went to the Gettysburg Address, he was provided with some background info in case he was caught or someone grabbed him and didn't know who he was and started asking him, what are you doing here? What's going on? And he had like a story that he could relate to them that would let them believe that he was an innocent bystander. Mm-hmm. But he says when he went to the Ford's Theater, he was more like kind of nerve-wracked because he didn't have any such information. So that really makes me scratch my head too. I mean, why we're arguing, we're talking about this as if it's 100% legit and real. We don't freaking know. Why would you send information one time and send them blindly the next? I guess I don't know.
Yeah, good question.
Yes, thanks for your feedback. I appreciate it.
Well, maybe they are, maybe they've been trying to get back in time to like kill Hitler or something, or turn the tides of certain things.
Again though, would you kill baby Hitler type stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And too bad you can't think of that physicist who had that argument where no matter if you do change history, it's all going to turn out the same anyways. So
right, it works itself out to the end, same end.
Andrew says being sent back in time to the same place and moment, but from different starting points in the present, allowed two of himself to be in Ford's theater at the same time. And this is a quote from Andrew. He says, after the first of these two encounters with myself occurred, I was concerned that my cover might be blown. I was kind of talking about this earlier. Unlike the jump to Gettysburg, in which I was clutching a letter to Navy Secretary Gideon Welles to offer me aid and assistance in the event I was arrested. Okay, that's what it was. I didn't have any explanatory materials when I was sent to Ford's theater. So we kind of touched on that a little bit. It's like, why? I mean, they're like, okay, fend for yourself, buddy. We're sending it to Ford's theater. And if you come
bring back some popcorn and a Diet Coke. Simple things. If you had this at your disposal, wouldn't you make simple trips like that and just bop on into some other century and walk back?
See, wouldn't that be kind of disrespectful for such a powerful technology? Wouldn't you just
absolutely.
To be so flippant like that and carefree and just messing with it? But I don't know. Yes, in other words, I would.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where it gets interesting because Basiago's claims are supported by fellow lawyer Alfred Weber. Now, Alfred was a lawyer specializing in exopolitics, which is the political implications surrounding an extraterrestrial presence on Earth. Now, I didn't know that lawyers were experts on political implications involving extraterrestrials, but that's...
Well, you can get the degree online,
Oh, you probably can. That's for sure. That's for sure. Now, would you hire either Andrew Basiago or his friend Alfred?
No.
Okay.
To mow my lawn, maybe. No, go ahead.
Weber says that teleportation and time travel have been around for 40 years, but are hoarded by the Defense Department instead of being used to transfer goods and services. Yeah, Andrew Basiago actually ran for president in 2016. This is another quote by him. He says, I have prior knowledge that not only will I run for president, but that during one of the elections, which would have to be between 2016 and 2028, because I'm not running past that, I'm either elected president or vice president. Goodness gracious. Well, we have, let's see, a couple more, two more elections to go to see if Andrew Basiago becomes president or vice president. Then
I wonder how old he is now.
He has a mere, what would it be?
Well,
4 years and a couple months technically, but 2 elections there. Time's running out. No pun intended there, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you like to have a president who talked openly about being a time traveler, Mike?
Yes, because actually
you would.
He would be more likely to bring about full disclosure.
Well, I would hope so. Now, if he literally and honestly was a chrononaut, I would hope to God he would let us in on a little bit of these secrets. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just kind of, offhandedly say, oh, by the way, I was at Gettysburg Address, just so you know, Gettysburg's Address. Yeah.
I was there, I met a girl.
Did you?
Yeah.
Are you talking? You're talking about Andrew Basiago or you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just kind of throwing out some stuff there.
Now, this article was obviously from, it might have been 2016, obviously. So this is a statement that was thrown out there by Basiago's presidential campaign website. And it reads as such. For 70 years, the U.S. government has been concealing advanced technologies because they might be socially, economically, or technically disruptive in nature. These technologies include the teleportation technology developed by DARPA's Project Pegasus. They may also include cancer cures. The government should begin a program to declassify and deploy this knowledge. The standard of technical disclosure should be what provides the people the best available technology. This will enable the United States to reclaim its mantle as the world's catalyst of applied science. I like the words. I like the verbiage.
Yeah.
Again, if this stuff is legit, if the U.S. has been concealing evidence from the American people and the world for that matter, and we've talked about this when it comes to the slow reveal of, well, how did we word it, Mike? When it comes to alien life being in contact and knowing about alien technology, utilizing alien technology, kind of this slow reveal to the American people. We're on board for that.
Absolutely.
As far as time traveling, yeah, that's a whole other ball of wax. But then again, can aliens time travel? Shit.
Well, I think they can do anything.
It's yeah. Talk about being a head scratcher. Shockingly, Basiago did not become president, at least not yet. But his work as a child during Project Pegasus gave him some interesting insight into the election, since the CIA used the technology to find a brief future presidents. This is a quote. He says, "As for Hillary Clinton, I have no data." He said this back in 2016. I think it is reasonable to infer that were she a future president, there would have been a pre-ID of her. So again, talk about opening up a billion other balls of wax.
Right.
Why would he throw that out there? So why it wouldn't just be Hillary Clinton, it'd be everybody pretty much who would have these pre-IDs, these pre-existences, wouldn't it? Where was I? As for Trump, I have a vague memory that my father took special note of Trump during an appearance by him on the Phil Donahue show, and might have even commented that right there was a future U.S. president. So there you have it, from the lips, the words, the written words of Mr. Andrew Basiago. He says his father said Donald Trump would become president, so therefore there's proof he has traveled through time.
My dad said so. And my dad's bigger than yours.
I'm sorry. When I said that out loud, I could. Oh, that was kind of funny. And I'm not. If this is real, God bless you, Andrew Basiago.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, my God, this would be mind blowing, earth shattering. I mean, my
and
goodness.
we apologize for our levity if it is true.
Yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. Mike, that's basically the gist of this story in a nutshell. Any final words before we give our final yay or nay shades of gray? I'm looking at my notes here, and we pretty much covered all of it.
Yeah, you covered all my notes too.
Yeah, again, that's why we are called professional researchers.
This is true.
So, okay, thoughts on, first and foremost, this Andrew Basiago being a participant in this DARPA program, this time-traveling program, and his personal experiences, sent back to Gettysburg and sent back to Ford's Theater. Mike, do you have any final thoughts on that before giving your final answer?
Well, it's a wild, fanciful story. I know that.
I love it. I do love it. I mean, here's that word again. As flippant as we may sound, we're not doing that out of spite or anything like that. We're having a good time. We always have a good time here on the podcast. So just throwing that out there. But please, Mike, continue.
I don't know. It's so outlandish and goes against what everybody is raised to, and taught. But there are so many things that we do not know. And so many things that I know that, black projects, government projects, whatever, there just has to be. Is it this? I don't know. Not yet.
I mean, it's hard to, slam that proverbial door shut, for anything. It really isn't. I mean,
Yeah.
we host this podcast about all things paranormal, strange, and mysterious for a reason because we're passionate about it. Okay. I mean,
We have an extremely open mind, and that kind of makes it difficult too. I mean,
no, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because we say, how many times do we say simply, we don't know, and we basically will never know. So why would we be so arrogant and smug and condescending by claiming anything is certain? We can't. You and I personally can't.
right. We don't know if it's true, and we don't know if it isn't.
At the same time, though,
But this is a terminal episode.
it is a terminal episode. They're a little more loose, a little more laid back, believe it or not. If there's a ratings for our looseness, the flagship, pretty wild, wacky. Terminal, a little more wild and wacky. Patreon, oh boy, hold on to your seats. If you can make it through an episode, that'd be great. We are going to record another Patreon exclusive episode immediately after this is done for the evening. We thank you guys so much. If you enjoy the content, thank you so much. If you made it this far into the episode, I can't thank you enough. You are a trooper. You are a true soldier of the paranormal by sticking with us. But if you enjoy the content, no better way to support us and giving us a shot over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Try it out. Exclusive episodes up the wazoo, boys and girls. Tons and tons of stuff over there. Tons and tons of audio and video clip, exclusive only at the Paranormally Zone Patreon page. Okay, Mike, are we ready for yay or nay?
I think as ready as I'm going to be.
Okay. Do you want to take it first? Or you want me to take it first? It's up to you.
Let's hear yours first this time.
How much time do we have? I could have been really, really ornery sounding and just said and just ended it right away. But I'll lead
Expound.
I'll expound a little bit. I'll lead our listeners on just a wee little bit, just so they're sitting on the edge of their proverbial seat. Do I believe that time travel exists? I don't know. Do I believe that time travel is possible? Absolutely, 100% I believe it's possible. Again, people a million times smarter than myself or Mike, physicists, theoretical physicists, doctors of science, believe in the possibility of time travel. Hell, there's even forms of evidential proof that time travel is possible, in some different manners, that's for sure.
Well, I did just a quick thing here. I did
Sure.
have a little note here. Ronald Mallet or Mallet,
Mm-hmm.
he's an astrophysicist. He spent most of his adult life trying to prove that time travel is possible. Now that's an astrophysicist, and that's
then
all I have about that.
and then his head exploded. And
Yeah.
that
But
was
then the Mikio came along, and
dabbed him with a sponge again. Just
yeah,
I don't know why I've said sponge several times today.
yes, it washed his feet with his hair.
There you go. Awesome. By the way, Mikio has a new book out, by the way.
Does he?
Yeah, it's it's quantum something. I can't remember what the hell it is, but it's I saw it at the bookstore and I was so tempted to nab it. I might have to do that.
Yeah.
I was perusing through it and you'd think that, oh gosh, he's talking about quantum physics and it's just going to be unreadable. I mean,
Oh, he's not that way.
he's just like, his writing is just like his manner of fact speaking, is.
Yeah.
He makes it so easy to digest and understand. He's a great storyteller. Same when it comes to the written word. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. But what I was getting at, do I believe that time travel is possible? Absolutely, 100%. Obviously, I don't think that you jump into a DeLorean and drive up to 88 miles an hour and bam, you're out of here. Wouldn't that be funny if this DARPA was actually ran by like a multitude of cloned Doc Browns?
Yeah. And there's a whole room full of extra Christopher Lloyd's just waiting to
Exactly.
be replacing ones that fall out.
Just the assembly line just coming down the pike there. Yeah, that's a sight.
And the very last part of that assembly line is all of a sudden this little thing comes out and pops his hair on. Anyway.
Classic character. Now, do I buy this Andrew Basiago's personal stories? Do I buy that DARPA exists? Let me put it this way. I believe in the possibility of this DARPA more than I believe in Andrew Basiago's personal supposed experiences. That being said, I have to say yay or nay, BS or not, no shades of gray, no straddling that proverbial fence. Mike, no surprise, I'm calling BS on both DARPA and Andrew Basiago's claims of time travel. No, I do not think he has been to Ford's Theater at multiple times looking at Lincoln and waiting for the assassination to happen. I don't know what the point is of sending them back there just to observe. Smart listeners out there, tell us why you were sent back just to observe. What will we learn? I get it. You learn from your mistakes, but if you're not going to alter history, what are you doing?
Well, maybe they were, I know we're past the point of discussing this, but.
No, we're not. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Maybe they were sending these teenagers out, these young people, still during the development of this technology. Mm-hmm. Okay. They need guinea pigs.
Oh gosh.
So they recruit all these young people, and where are the parents of these kids?
I hope they signed waivers for this freaking experiment.
No
My God! By the way, your child could disintegrate into dust. Okay,
go snatch them out of an orphanage or something. Jeez.
My goodness gracious!
But maybe, who knows, the stuff that we haven't heard about or that isn't written about are these time travel excursions that went wrong.
Well, hell yeah, exactly. I mean, they're not telling us the successful experiments, so why would they tell us the awful ones?
Exactly.
So, Mike, you have to, I kind of am guessing where you're going with this, but your final yay or nay, no shades of gray.
All of the stuff that you had said about the, is it possible, is it, I believe it's possible with the right technology. I think that technology, I believe that that's probably being worked on, but as far as it being done or having been done,
seems like it's tougher than I thought it would be.
No, it's not real.
It's so hard for Mike to say that. I could just see the pain in his face. You got it, Mike. Just like the ghost hunters always had to prod and poke Jason into saying he thought something was haunted, I have to prod and poke you into saying,
yeah,
come on,
it is nay.
There you go. Okay,
nay. Yeah, I think maybe it's still being worked on. Maybe they're working on it. Maybe it was worked on and failed and dropped. No, who knows?
It's okay. It's okay to just call BS too if you want to.
Yeah, and I do. This guy. It's a great story.
It's a fascinating story. I would love for it to be true. Let's put it that way.
It got him some attention. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. It got him some attention. Maybe he's still going to run for president. Who knows?
Who the hell knows?
His name is out there.
His name is out there, and maybe we got him another vote.
But that if he does run for president, this is going to come up, and he's done.
Well, right, 100%, 100%. Even if he's straightforward and honest about his wacky claims, it doesn't matter if you're straightforward and honest because the American public is going to just shoot you down. No pun intended. I'm not saying that literally. They are, they're just going to say, nope. See you later, weirdo.
If he ran for president, it would be worse than Clinton being asked if he inhaled.
That was the lowest of the low. I'm telling you that right now. Of all the presidential lies in all of American history, to have that damn bastard say that, no, I did not toke, unforgivable.
I did not have sex relations with
No,
that
well,
woman.
no, we're just leaving it on that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, this
Hey.
is terminal. It's terminal for a reason. Hopefully, the podcast isn't terminal after this one, but I think it was a good, fun discussion. It's a crazy story. I like the possibility of it, but we both agree we call BS on the idea that Mr. Andrew Basiago was, in fact, a chrononaut working for DARPA and said hello to Lincoln a couple times. So, Mike, I think it's time to
himself.
wrap this one up. What'd you say?
And himself
Oh.
saying hi to himself.
I thought you said something awful. Oh, man. Okay, before we do say something awful, it is time to wrap up this episode of the Paranormal Zone. We can't thank you guys enough. Help spread the word. Send some positive vibes. Retweet the links. Leave some positive reviews. Hey, maybe even give the Patreon page a shot for $1 a month. Mike, until next time, my friend, stick around, everybody, for another Patreon episode coming forth soon. Mike, until next time, what do our paranormal friends need to do?
Peace out.